Good morning, Blackfire. Good to see you. Good morning, Gunhighs. How are you guys? Nice of you all to stop by this morning. Oh, I just realized. I just realized something. I probably should. Hello, Reps. Good to see you. Hope life is treating you well.
I'd like to say something.
Top of the morning to ya, Tips Top Hat.
First off, top of the morning to you too. And I love the fact that the text to speech guy was like, top of the morning to ya. Hope so, man. What about you? Oh yeah, I'm doing good, dude. I'm I'm healthy. My wife's healthy. There's nothing to complain about over here. I got some coffee. I'm gonna sit here and type on my nice little sounding keyboard. Play with my adult Legos. It's gonna be a good day. Good morning, Omanian. Yes, it is time to get your coffee. It is time indeed. The time has come. We must resume the coffee drinking. We're gonna use some of that old magic to code. Not that new vibe code magic, the old magic. See, what's the roadmap for the app development like? Is it fine if I start with C++ as my foundation? Oh, I think it's fine. I think it's reps. I think it's fine for you to start anywhere that you would like to. So if C++ looks interesting to you and that has you motivated to go sit down and put your fingers on the keyboard and learn and write code, there's nothing wrong with starting there. I personally always tell everybody to go to Free Code Camp. I always recommend their JavaScript or their full stack web dev certification as kind of a good starting point. But you definitely don't have to start there. You know what I mean? So, nothing wrong with C++. I love coffee with extra coffee. Me too, Gunhighs. Me too. Coffee with extra coffee kind of fucks. Hello, Tyler. Good to see you. Sorry, I missed your message there. Good to see you, Tyler. Hope you're doing well. Hope you were able to put that trial to use. How many coffees do you drink in a day? Let's see. Yesterday I drank. I think I ended up drinking 3 long blacks, which was like 6 shots of espresso over. But that's over the course of from 4 o'clock in the morning till probably maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon. How long have you been coding for? So I first got exposed to coding when I took um, computer programming 1 and computer programming 2 in college as electives. I went to school for bio, biochemistry, and I took some computer programming classes as electives. Um, that would have been 2015, and then I started dabbling again in programming in like 2018 when I started having the ideas of maybe making a career change. And then I actually did change jobs, and I really didn't when I changed jobs, I really didn't know what I wanted to do long term. But as I worked more and more in my new job, which was for a tech company, I got more and more interested with like the technical side of the house, right? The people who are actually building our platform. And so that's when I took up Free Code Camp, which was like 2020, like the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So I would say seriously, I've been coding like 5 years now, but I've had exposure to it for much longer than that. So that's why I always tell people like I didn't walk in completely cold to Free Code Camp, right? I had some exposure, but yeah, but probably about 5 years. Like I would say every day for the last 5 years, I probably spent somewhere between 4 to 8 hours writing code. Terminal, Aspire. I think we're good. There's only one answer for that question. How many coffee has been drank? Not enough. Oh, that is a good answer. I wish I would have thought of that answer. Unfortunately, I'm not that clever. Tyler, I've been abusing it actually. You've been abusing coffee? All right. Are you still going to be on for long? Also, good morning, Sam D. Deb. I just got started, so I'll be here till about 7 o'clock this morning. So another couple hours, 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes, something like that. So I'll be around. Obviously, I don't expect anybody else to hang out that long, but I will be here. I will be here. I'll be
Ilmanian
here.
is telling you to drink some coffee.
Thank you, Ilmanian. I appreciate that. Hype Sid, first like. Thank you very much for liking the stream. I don't really know what impact comments, likes, and shares have, like on my ability to get new viewership, but I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Satya Jeet, good morning, good morning. Reps, I just want to say hi to you since I haven't watched your stream for so long. See you, man. Gotta go. Well, that's very kind of you. It's nice. It's nice to hear from you. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you do try to take on the C++, I hope you enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, don't be afraid to try a different language. You know. Okay, so first things first today. We need to correct the transgressions of yesterday. So we're gonna go down here, and we go into the sync transactions. You gotta wait for the LSP to attach. Go ahead, lurk away, Ilmanian. Was he almost finishing the office part? Logging back once home again. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you're almost done with your work day. I haven't even started mine. Hey brother, I'm also a computer science student currently working on making a clone of Vim. Nice. That sounds like a fun project. We'll be glad to share it with you after completion. Yeah, I would love to see it. There's a lot of people in my Discord who might want to see it too. The best place to share projects with me is in the projects channel of my Discord, which is just discord.stephenfreemore.com, and that'll take you to the invite link. The new hybrid style to work nowadays, yeah. Yeah, log in, go to the office, log in for a couple hours, go home, finish the day. I mean, if you have a commute, honestly, if you have a commute to and from the office, it's kind of an OP strategy, you know? That way you can sort of avoid the rush hour traffic into the office and the rush hour traffic home. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to move the setting of the cursor here. Excuse me. And then I want to var is processed successfully. And then I want to say if is processed successfully is false. What's Copilot saying? Failed to process. Nope, that's not right. Shh, Copilot, you're not. You don't know what you're talking about. Shh, Copilot, shh. Okay. Continue. Sorry, not return. Continue. Okay, so we're just gonna log a warning. Let's see. Let's do, what do I want to say? Well, I guess actually we want to break here, don't we? Yeah, I think we want to break here. So this is where we'd say log warning, unable to process request for count Hello, Oblivion. Good to see you. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you coming back. The new cuts down to 40 minutes from usual 80 minutes. I like it. That's what I'm talking about. Work smarter, not harder. Good morning, Flyfisher. Good to see you. Thanks again for being a member, man. Appreciate you. See, unable to process request. Unable to process transactions for request for account. And then we'll do response.request ID. Yeah. So the whole point of this is so that we can avoid advancing the cursor. Now, this guy doesn't currently return anything, so we have to go to the definition. We need to do a bool. We gotta jump down here. Make this return a bool. And then these all need to return I think I want these to just return, let's see, var num added. And then this also is going to become await. This is going to become handle async. This is going to become var num modified. This is going to be var num removed. And then here, what we'll do is we'll just make sure that the number removed and the number added, let's see, return num added and num modified, and whoops, num added should equal resync response dot added, num modified should equal sync response dot modified, and num removed should equal sync. So it just means that if these are all equivalent, that means that we process every single one successfully. All right, let's take care of the add handler first. So let's go to the implementation. We're going to change this to task int. We're going to make this async. We're going to inject not only a logger, but we're also going to inject an app DB context like this. We're going to take that in through the constructor. App DB context. App DB that. And we need to get it from the service provider here. Now everybody's happy. Then we just need to update the signature of our implementation to match the interface. So this will be async task of int handle async. And we are just going to return added count like that. Now, this does introduce one little hiccup in that we have to do what we do for the modified handler. Let's see, modified. So we basically have to do this exact same query. Syncer, transaction syncer. And we can do this up front. Oops, sorry.
Did we just become best friends?
Chen, thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Let's see, so we'll do existing transaction IDs. And this will be the added. And then we'll just query for, we need the cancellation token. It's going to need to change the signature up here. Hey Steven, can I ask what you're working on? I'm first time on your stream, by the way. Oh yeah, no worries. You're always, yeah, you guys can ask any questions you want anytime. I'm building what Flyfish has said. I'm building like a personal finance app. So it's just a way to ingest financial data from my existing bank accounts. And I'm pretty close to getting to a point where I can actually deploy it and start testing it with my actual like financial information. I just had to clean up some stuff I did yesterday that wasn't very smart. existing transactions. Looks good. Oh, there's a 2 async enumerable. That's pretty cool. Huh. Yeah. So now what we can do is when we're looping over the each of the added transactions, we can obviously skip it if it's pending, but we can also skip if it already exists. So we can say if, let's see, has already been added. Oops, sorry. Then we can say, basically say existing transactions dot first or default. And then we can basically take the exact same query that we did here, steal that, go down here, pop that in there. And luckily for us, since we're not making a query, we can actually use pattern matching, which is what the compiler is telling us. And instead of doing contained, we can just say existing transactions first or default, where the existing transaction metadata has the same metadata.plaid ID as the added transaction .transaction ID. All right. So we're basically doing a query at the beginning. We're doing a single query at the beginning to fetch all the existing transactions based on the added. That way we don't have to do a query. That way we don't have to hit the database in this real tight loop here. We just do one query to the database, then we can do all the processing in memory. Obviously, the one trade-off there is the fact that, like, if this was a very large number of added transactions, right, this might be problematic. Then you probably have to implement some sort of batching. But I think for the fact, given that the primary user of this application is going to be me and my wife, it's unlikely that we're going to be ever processing that many transactions, like tens of thousands of transactions. So I think this is safe to do like this. And then we'll do, yeah, so this would mean that we've already processed this transaction. We've already added it to the database. If it's already been added to the database, then we can just say if has already been added is, or yeah, true, or is not false. No, if, that's not even a good variable name. Existing transaction. So we'll say if existing transaction is null, or is not null, meaning we actually found something in the database, then we want to continue. And we'll just log a statement here. We'll say skipping added transaction. And in this case, it will be, let's see, for account as it has already been added as transaction ID. And we'll change this to be plaid transact. That way we can differentiate. And so we'll say you are existing transaction .id. Now the reason why I have to add this here is because before I was basically assuming that, we would only attempt to add a batch of transaction one time, and then we'd advance our cursor and we'd never go back and look at those transactions again. But now we're not doing that. So we need to make this this add logic. We need to basically make it
Did we just
idempotent.
become best friends?
Wireroot, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. It's very kind of you. Now, the one question is, that still counts. That still counts. So, what do I mean by that? So basically, the way I basically still need to increment this. Crap. I'm realizing a flaw with my logic in real time. So here's the flaw in my thinking, is that these handle methods, right? So in this case, let's just look at the add example. If we go back to the processor logic that I set up, here's the flaw. Transaction processor. Right, okay, so if we go back to this logic right here, we're basically saying num added equals sync response.added. The problem is that this is not always true, or this is not always an indication that we processed everything successfully, because when we're syncing the added, if the added transaction is pending, or if we've already added it, right? We don't actually intend to add it, so it's still a successful process. So that means I don't know if I like the way I'm thinking about handling this, but that basically means that we have to basically increment the added count here. And here. Which then mean what we should do is, I guess we should just I really hate that. I really don't like that this statement shows up in 3 different places, but I really don't want to do it at the very beginning. But if we get here, this is intentional. We don't want to add. We are intentionally skipping pending transactions. So that still means we handled the add correctly. If it's existing and we skip it because it was existing, well, we still handled the add successfully. And then if we actually do end up adding the transaction net new, then we should increment the count. I'm not terribly excited about that, but I think it'll be fine. Famous last words. Let's go. We got past the cancellation token. I am no longer a coding god. What made you change your mind? Good morning, Crow of Devise. So how's it hanging, Steven? How's the finance app coming along so far? It's coming along good. Yeah, we finally broke ground on importing transaction data, which is great. Yeah, it's going good. It's good to see you, Crow Demise. I love seeing all the pieces fall into place. It's awesome. Yeah, slowly but surely, man. Slowly but surely. Good morning, Omer. What are you building today? I am building a personal finance app, which kind of sounds, it's kind of misleading because, like, it's not really an app where I'm, like, manually entering data. I'm basically syncing data from my bank accounts into my own application so that I can aggregate. So basically, I can accomplish three things: aggregation, visualization, and categorization. Those are the three things I want to be able to do. Let's see, configure. Oh, wait. Do that. Put these in. Like this. Oops.
Did we just become best friends?
Hey, Chicon, not. I don't know how to say your username. I'm sorry, man. But thanks for the sub. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Steven, which companies are best in Fang? I honestly don't know because I've never worked in Fang. I do probably own stock in all those companies because I do invest in a S&P 500 index fund and a total stock market index fund, but I've never worked for any of them. I think if I was going to pick one, I would probably say Netflix. After reading the No Rules Rules book, I really appreciated their approach to their culture. I mean, obviously, I don't know if that's exactly what the company's like, but their culture seems pretty interesting. But yeah, I think Fang represents a very small portion of the total tech ecosystem. Obviously, they get a lot of attention, and people who used to work at those companies like to kind of treat it like they went to Harvard. So it carries, like, for whatever reason, it carries a little bit of like brand recognition. But I have no idea like how to say which is best to answer your question. I love this stuff. Takes weeks to do it. Makes it extremely satisfying once you're done, man. Pretty crazy if you think about it. Yeah, for sure. It's just you're basically just like stacking bricks, you know. Small steps climb mountains. It's nice to see it all pay off too once it does. Oh. Count. Use the count property. Oh, nice. There we go. Okay. Now we have to address this. So let's go to definition. Set this to int. Let's see. How's Apple's culture, by the way? What I have been seeing, they never lay off. They don't seem to lay off as much as the big companies, but I think that kind of makes sense. I mean, they're so well capitalized, right? They just have a big ass bag of cash, always sitting there at their hand. So maybe that makes sense. They're also not one of the companies that are currently heavily investing into AI infrastructure, right? So I would guess they are still remaining pretty well capitalized compared to some of those other people in the FANG acronym. I don't know about their culture though. I've never read anything that explicitly defines it, or like I've never seen a deck or read a book about their culture like I have with Netflix. The only thing that comes to mind is I've heard that their culture is very secretive, like very compartmentalized, which I guess kind of makes sense with the history of the company. But I don't really know. I don't pay attention that much to really. I don't ever intend to work for Fang, so I don't worry about it too much. I see. I'm glad you're doing well, though, Stephen. I'm gonna go back to bed. Way too early for me. I'm glad to see that it's all coming together. I can't wait to see the full, complete thing. Thanks, man. That's really nice of you to be so encouraging, and I appreciate you waking up just to say hello. I hope you have a nice sleep. Good morning, Mark. Nice to see you again. Appreciate you showing up in both places. That's very, very kind of you. Okay. And we have to do kind of the same thing here. So if plaid transaction is null, no corresponding modified transaction in plaid response for existing transaction. Skipping for this transaction. Yep, that is okay. And same thing here. I think what I could do, if I wanted to avoid doing this incremental work here, is I could probably extract this into a private method. I'm not sure that gains me anything. I just hate having to repeat myself like that. Alright, and then the last one we need to update is num removed. So let's go here. Set this to task int. Go over here. Where's the process or handle method? We'll go task int. Then we'll just come down here, and the last thing we'll do is we'll just return removed out. Cool. To remove this gigantic to-do I left yesterday. Yeah, I think that looks good. And now, so basically the whole point of that, just to reiterate to myself, is the whole point of that is to basically say, we're going to process, we're only going to advance this cursor, right? Which the cursor is important to keep track of because it determines, like, it basically says whenever you receive a webhook from Plaid telling you there are updates, the sync basically tells you from when to when, like what transactions in what given time period do you want to sync. And so I only ever want to advance that cursor if I do completely process all the transactions that I was given, all the transaction operations I was given for a particular response. If I can't do that, then I don't want the cursor to advance, because there's obviously some issue that I need to address. And if I advance that cursor, then those transactions that I couldn't process correctly for whatever reason are basically lost to the void forever, unless I manually intervene in some way. So that's why we added this, or that's why we're doing it this way for now. Okay, let's give it a quick test, and then we're gonna sit down and we're gonna write some unit tests for this stuff, because we have been largely ignoring automated testing for the majority of the last couple weeks, and that is not good practice. So we're going to do aspire run, and we're going to fire up our database here. Hello, Rookley. Good to see you. Good morning, Rockin' Brain. Good to see you as well. I'm doing well. Life's good. Got my coffee, got my oranges, got my code, got my clicky-clacky keyboard. Of course, bro, I'd be missing a lot of streams as I've been busy sleeping and grinding all day, but deuces, keep it up for real. Well, that's so kind of you, man. Yeah, you never have to worry about missing streams. I totally understand people that you guys have lives and stuff, but I do appreciate those of you who are able to make it back to a new stream every so often. Let's see, open a database. Do this, do this, do that, do that, do that, do that. Double click. Okay, so I am going to delete one of the accounts we added yesterday. I'm going to go to the dashboard. I'm going to head over to the app. Go ahead and get logged in. So I'm going to remove the Plaid credit card. Just go ahead and delete that account from the database. Delete record. Refresh. Okay. Oh, I gotta write the changes. Okay, now that guy's gone. So let's go ahead and add that account back. Okay. Now we should see some logs. Some logs. Let's see, where's the... There should be a received... Successfully processed sync for this. Copy. Processing sync updates. Yeah. Right here. So it looks like we received multiple webhooks, right? Because there's an item for EVAM something or other. Oh, that's a different account, I think. Yeah, different account. So we were able to process them all successfully. There was 18 that we added, no modifications, 0 removed. Cool. Now our front end is pitiful. I understand. We have stuff to work on here. We need a page to display transactions. We need a table probably with some sorting functionality, some paging functionality. There's a lot there on the front end we still need to implement. But the business logic on the back end is, for the most part, relatively stable. So I think this would be a good time to add some tests. We can either add tests or we can implement the front end for the transactions. That's probably the two things we could do today. Part of me wants to do the front end piece. But I know I probably should just write the tests. All right, let's commit this stuff. let's see, this was API.test, fix, let's see, address, make, fix, methods broken in refactor, and then this would be refactor for make props non-nullable, not props, params. And then here is fix infra. Don't advance account cursor unless all transactions proceed successfully. Okay. Nice. Damn, I wish I was smart enough to code more than some simple Python plus modern GL. You're so cool, man. I don't think I'm so cool, dude. And also, you're more than capable. If you can do all that stuff with Python and modern GL, you're more than capable to doing whatever I'm doing. Whatever I'm doing, there's nothing very magical about what I'm doing. I'm basically just moving data from one place to another, sticking in a database so that I can look at it differently. Good morning, NG Tontai. I don't know why you've been so obsessed with that song lately. Every time you show up in my stream. Which language do you prefer the most? So I really enjoy C#, which is why I'm using it. The way I always answer this question is my favorite language is C#. So given the choice, I would much rather work in C#. But if it came to only writing,
did we just become best friends?
Predator form, thank you very much for the sub, by the way, man. If it came to like you can only ever write one language again, I would probably pick TypeScript because I like to do web development, and so TypeScript would allow me to build backends and frontends, but still have a nice static typing experience. But yeah, for backends, I'll usually almost reach for C#, and almost the 99% of the clients that I build are targeted towards the web, so TypeScript is what I like to work with there. Blazor's nice too. I built a few Blazor apps, but there's just sometimes it feels more natural and a little more convenient to work with what's native to the browser, which is just, good old JavaScript or TypeScript in this case. Looks like magic to me, bro. Don't sell yourself short. I swear it's not magic. There's people who can code circles around me. Kurt, ooh, front end. What's wrong with front end? Front end's nice. It's nice to be able to visually see stuff and get visual feedback. Building front ends is fun. Let's see, how you feel about Rust? That thing's sexy but scary. So I feel good about Rust. We actually built a Notepad application with Rust called Zoe. So if you want to check it out, it's on my GitHub. But this is actually built with Rust. We built this little desktop application, which is basically inspired by Windows Notepad. It does Markdown, so you can actually look at Markdown files in this thing. Let's do like repository. Let's open one of these suckers up. You can actually view your markdown files in here. You can preview them, you can edit them. So that was a fun project. So I feel good about Rust. I think it's definitely more difficult if you're coming from a non-low level systems programming language. I think it's definitely a little bit more difficult to pick up than other things. But I definitely think it's a pretty cool language. Definitely makes you think about writing code differently, which I think is always I think that's always a valuable thing, right? When you get exposed to a different way of thinking about problems and solving problems, which is, I think, one of the benefits of learning different languages. You should try CUDA C++. That might be beyond me. I've never written any C++. Hipsid, what about C and C++? How do you think of them? I've never written any C or any C++. Rust is the only like lower level, non-garbage collected language that I've ever worked with. If I was to go and learn another low level language, I'd probably pick Zig. At this point, would be the next thing. I'd really like to try learning F# too. Just given how much I like C# and how functional programming has kind of grown on me over the last few years, I'd like to give F# a try at some point. All right, so I want to focus on adding tests around this transaction processing logic. So I'm going to start with the remove handler, and we're going to write a test for this guy, or a set of tests. So this is going to be an integration test because we are going to talk directly to a database. So I'm going to go over to, let's see, we are going to go to infra.test, and we have a unit. Looks like we don't have any integration tests here. I'm going to do an integration, and then I'm going to do a, what was it called? Forgot the name of it. This guy. Yank it. And then we're going to do, where are we? We're down here. Yes, let's see this. That. Hello, bro. How are you doing? Hello, bro, to you. It's like addressing your bro with a hello. It's like formal and casual stuck together. But I'm doing good. Yeah, no complaints over here. Hope you're doing well as well. Good to see you again. Panda, this looks like Warp, not NeoVim. So this is NeoVim. The editor I'm using is NeoVim. The terminal I'm in is Windows Terminal. This is the terminal I'm in. Average, yo, when will you drop your NeoVim? Oh, my NeoVim configs are already public. If you just type, let's see, you're on YouTube, aren't you? One sec, let me see, NeoVim, and then I'll tag you, average. Yeah, those are already there. They're on my GitHub, or my configuration is on my GitHub. If you'd like to take a peek. Let's see, yeah, I've tried C++ briefly, seems painful. Yeah, I've heard people say good things about C++, I've heard people say good things about C. I'm always kind of slow to like opine on most languages unless I've tried them myself. Oh, I've also learned Go, and I actually really like writing Go code. I've been writing a library. We have a public API at the company I work for, and I've been writing a few different SDKs for that API in different languages. And so now that I've learned Go, I've been working on one in the Go programming language. And every time I sit down to work on it, I'm always very excited because I really do enjoy writing Writing Go. I like the simplicity of it, straightforwardness. AG Daniels, how long did it take you to learn Go? I have been trying to learn it. So we spent all of November 2025 learning it. So that was like 3 hours a day for 30 days, and then roughly, and then we did all of Advent of Code. So all the month of December, after learning Go, we did Advent of Code in Go. So I would say I spent about 2 months solid just writing Go every day for multiple hours. Obviously, you could probably learn it faster if you spent more time each day over a shorter period of time, or might take you longer if you spent less period of time. But yeah, took me probably 3 or 4 weeks before I felt comfortable, where I wasn't thinking that hard about the fact that I'm writing Go. And then Advent of Code was kind of just me exploring aspects of the language that I just hadn't got to yet, right? So I'm definitely not like a Go veteran. I haven't built a ton of applications using it, but I did build a console application. I built a TUI. I built a small little REST API with it. So I've built some stuff with it. But yeah, I do enjoy that language a lot. Let's see, Redskin, show us an example of each. So you show you an example of each language, like Go versus what, C# versus, is that what you're asking for? Say, wait, since when is NeoVim available on Windows? I've been stuck in VS Code, laugh my fucking ass off. Yeah, it's been since I just started using it last year, like January of 2025. So at least since then. VS Code is good though, man. I still use VS Code quite a bit. I was in VS Code yesterday doing a little bit of debugging on this application. It's still a great tool. See, is it easy to make a TUI in Go? Some Java TUI tools are made in Go. Yeah, Go they have a library. There's a library that most people use called BubbleTea, and it's very, very nice to work with. Here's the TUI I built. It's called term tier, and so you can build tier lists in the terminal. Yeah, it's pretty baller. And it's very, once you understand like the basic kind of event loop that happens, it's very easy to work with, for sure. Yeah. This is the library that most people use. Like Go, BubbleTea. Yeah. Let's see, build TUI framework for Go. Sorry, Twitch. I was ignoring you guys. Great. So now I need to learn key Vim bindings or Vim key bindings. Yeah, that's what takes the longest. I think is just getting used to getting used to Vim motions, essentially. That's what I feel like takes the longest whenever you make a switch. Good morning, Minister of Defense. Good to see you. AG Daniel, what is your approach to learning a new programming language? So I don't think I have the same approach every time, but I think there's kind of 2 ways you can do it. And I did one when I was learning Go, and I did another when I was learning Rust. So I've described it as kind of like there's pull-based learning and push-based learning. So in a push-based learning approach, you actually go to some curriculum or you go to some book or course and you actually sit down and you let the instructor or the teacher or the educator, whoever it is, you let them give you the information, push the information at you in a thought out way or in the way that they think it should be served. right? So I did this when I was learning Go. I went through the Tour of Go tutorial, and then I also did Learn Go with Tess. And so I was basically consuming information and doing it according to how they were telling me to do it. And then with Rust, the approach was a little bit different. That was more of like a pull approach where I basically decided, okay, I'm going to learn Rust and I'm going to build a Notepad app. And so I just sat down and started trying to build the app. And whenever I ran into things I didn't know how to do, I would go and look up the answer or try to get the answer some way, either Google or LLM or the Rust programming language book. So that was more of a pull based or like a just in time based approach where like I kind of, but that might be easier to execute on if you already know existing programming languages, because you can sort of already express what it is you're trying to accomplish, right? Like I need to declare a variable and then I need to pass it to like you already have the vocabulary to sort of express what it is you want to accomplish, but just that you want to accomplish it in this other language. So those are the two approaches that I think the vast majority of people probably use to learn something. And I think it just comes down to like what your individual preferences are and what things motivate you, right? Hipso, how to copy the link from chat on phone? I've been missing these links. If you go to, you can find all of my links individually at, let's see, links. So if you just type in links.stephenfreeborn.com, that'll take you to like my Linktree page if you want to see all the links. But the bubble tea won't be there. But like all my other links will be there. There isn't really a good way to copy it though, is there? On YouTube, unfortunately. I literally cannot learn from tutors, so I always just smash my head against my keyboard till it works. I mean, this is how a lot of people learn to code. This is how a lot of people learn to program, you know? You are not wrong. Excuse me. All right, now we need to figure out how we're going to get a hold of one of these things. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to have a private read-only mock iLogger. Let's see, we'll call it mock logger. That. And of course, you're not there, so we need to bring you in. You're also not there. So I'll put that down here. Put that over there. Stick these in the global. Give them a sort. Head back to our test file.
Did we just become best friends?
And now we need to new up a titty paxi. That's a funny username to say. I don't know what that's referring to, but when I think of, I guess it could be TT instead of titty. TT Paxi. I'll say TT Paxi. Let's not get banned. Yeah, let's not. Yeah, for sure. Let's not get canceled. If your phone doesn't support it, go to Google Lens, upload the screenshot, and you'll be able to select and copy. That's a great idea.
I'd like to say something.
My obese parrot died this morning. It's a weight off my shoulder, at least.
That's like borderline dad joke. I respect that. Let's see. So let's do @db context. Let's go here and say public pad removed. All right, this guy. We have to basically new one of these up. So we have to say app db context equals new. Now this guy is going to want some stuff. We have to pass in I options of db context options and a file system. So in this case, I think the reason we have to pass the file system is because that's how I'm. Yeah. So I think we should just pass in. Let's do this. So we'll do app db context new file system dot new file system like this. Okay, so let's go back up here and let's turn this private read only I file system new. We'll pass that here.
Did we just become best friends?
Greetbot, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. The file system, and then we also need a logger, right? Oh no, we need the logger. We need the logger here. We're going to say plaid remove transaction handler. This is our system under test. And so that will actually be like this. So we'll say system under test equals new. This will take our logger, our mock logger, and it will take our app db context. So what do you mean it doesn't contain a struct? What do you mean? Oh, yep, you're right, it doesn't. So we need to do public static plaid removed transaction handler from, and we will do this. Oh, new. Which means then we come back here, and instead of doing this, we need to say from. Flip these at db context and not object. All right, and then we just have to figure out the options here. So the options, let's see, var db options. At db context options. I only have to specify the file path name. That's all I have to specify here. So what we can do is we can say options equals options.create new db context options right here. And then we can say that's going to be equal to a random, we'll just db file that equals string, an interpolated string at that, and then we'll say with.newquinn.db. We'll move on with our life. Okay, what are you complaining about? Oh, yeah, you're complaining that this isn't the right name. And what else are you complaining about? It owns disposable field app DB context, but it is not disposable. Well, we can fix that. I can fix that. So we'll do app DB context dot dispose. Modify so that it calls dispose true, then calls GC suppress finalize on the current object instance, and then returns. Okay. This is because it's a public class. Yeah. I mean, I know it wants me to implement this specific pattern for disposing. Is what it wants me to do. Where you basically flag a Boolean. Let's see. That to the clipboard. Take that over here. Let's see, cargo run's supposed to take a while for Zoe, or might be my old ass laptop. No, it'll take a while. It takes a while for me to cargo. If I understand it right, Rust compile times are notoriously slow. If I understand correctly. Dr. Lobenschatz, my async parents died today. That's a weight off my shoulders. Dark, but on topic. Nothing borderline about that. Okay, so we have to do this right here. So the bulk cleanup code is implemented there. So you leave out the finalizer altogether if the class doesn't own unmanaged resources, but leave the other methods exactly as they are. So this is what it wants me to implement, which seems like overkill for a test class. I don't think I'd have to do this, honestly, if... Let's do this. Mocks, integration. I'm going to call this... What am I going to call this? So we have assertions, we have mocks, we have unit... I guess let's do fixtures. No, let's just do integration test. Let's just have a base class. We'll do namespace physical OS .infra. Let's see public, or this is going to be in public abstract class called integration test, but it does implement iDisposable. And we are going to say an integration test has some stuff. Basically has all of this logic. But we need to expose those as protected. And then this will be file system. Actually, this doesn't need to be protected. That can be private. The only thing that needs to be protected is this. Protected, read-only. Nope, not read-only. This would be app DB context. This will have a getter. Come into the constructor. Now go back here. I'll just extract this logic. Put it here. Instead of that, we'll do this. I don't like this song. I guess a little better. And then public void dispose. This is going to be the same problem. So we'll do app db context dot dispose gc dot press finalize this. And then it's going to want me to do that same pattern. I honestly think if this was actually a... Yeah, the fact that it's inheritable is what's triggering that. Copy. And then if dispose, we return. Let's see, return. We have to capture that in a field, don't we? Yeah, private bool. So we'll say is disposed. Okay, and then disposing. This is where we call app db context dot dispose that. Let's see, free native resources if there are any. There are none. Okay. Now you're happy. But you're not. What are you upset? Abstract type should not have public constructors. You're right, it should not. So then this is going to be... Now we can remove this. We can remove all of this logic. We can remove that field. We can remove that interface. And we can just mark this as an integration test. So, and then we can do that. And we can remove all that. Alright. Now we're ready to... So the benefit of this is now when we write our tests, we can actually interact with the database to do any setup logic that we might want to do before we actually call our handle method. So let's go back to the... I almost forgot about getting more coffee. Let's see, using, we want to be here, global. So we'll do async task, handle async. When called, it should remove the given transactions. It should remove the correct transactions. Excuse me. So I'll have to provide it some transactions. All right, first let's get coffee, and then we'll keep tackling our tests here. So let's do Control Shift P, split pane up. BRB. All right, guys, I'll be right back. I'm gonna, if you're gonna leave because I'm leaving, that's totally understandable. I get it. Quiniso, hi there from South Africa. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope South Africa is good. I've never been there, but I would love to visit someday. Maybe whenever I finally get the, maybe when I finally save enough money that I can retire, I can do some traveling. All right, so I'm gonna run upstairs and get another cup of coffee. If you are leaving because I'm leaving, that's totally understandable. Otherwise, this might be a good time for you to go and refill your coffee cup or whatever beverage you're drinking, and I'll be right back. I'm back. Alright, why? This monitor seems different for some reason. That's interesting. Maybe it's just the brightness? I don't know. This looks funny. Okay. Alright. I think it's fine. I wonder if it's the... Maybe it's the brightness? Is it custom? Picture adjustments. Just turn down the brightness a little bit. There we go. Okay. Here we are. I forgot to restart these things. Okay. We're back. We got coffee, we got water. Now we can lock in. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want a list of transactions to insert into the database. So let's just do transactions equals transaction dot from. Now this transaction actually requires a lot of data. So it has to belong to a user, it has to belong to an account. Okay, so we're gonna need a var user equals user dot from. We'll also need an account equals account dot from. And this needs an institution, and it needs metadata. Yeah, see, there's a lot of setup here, just to add a transactions. So institution from, and then we also need. We'll probably want to extract this into some sort of helper or some sort of factory. Let's see, institution, metadata. Our account metadata. So we'll do Plaid account metadata. All coffee tastes the same. You think so? I don't. So I will say there is a lot of coffee that has very subtle differences. It's very hard to taste the difference. But if you've never compared, here's how you can know that two coffees are different. Here's how you can guaranteed experience different coffees. Buy like a medium or dark roast coffee from somewhere in South America. It can be Colombia, Honduras, El Salvador, somewhere in South America. Then buy a medium or light roast coffee from like Ethiopia, preferably somewhere from the African continent. Brew those two coffees the same way, whatever your preferred method is, and try those. And I'll guarantee you will experience two very different cups of coffee. It'll blow your mind. It's pretty wild. So I do understand why you're saying what you're saying, but I think that's just because you haven't experienced coffee that was significantly different enough to actually be able to tell. Coffee's so good, man. So good. So this is going to be user.id account, or sorry, institution.id, and then we'll have our account metadata like that. Institution ID. So why doesn't that have a... that should really enforce a user ID be passed in. See where all the places this is referenced. Oh shit, that's a bug. Oh no, it's not. Oh, I see why. Huh. Wonder why. Okay, that seems odd, but I guess I understand my logic there, or what path. Now I understand what Past Steven was doing. That's fine. We'll leave that alone. So Past Steven's thought was basically, if you have an account and you have a user, then what you do is, instead of doing that, you say user dot add account like this, and then you say user dot add institution, and then you have to add the transaction too somehow. So what are you complaining about? Oh. Some account. And you want Plaid ID, and you want Plaid name. And then you want institution, and you want institution metadata, and then this guy wants a number of things: Plaid ID, Plaid name, the encrypted access token, and the item ID. So we don't need to care that the access token is actually encrypted. So we can just say Plaid ID. Vlad, whoops, Vlad name, encrypted access token item ID. So we'll do encrypted access token item ID. And then we have username, hash password. Yep. So none of these actually matter, so we can just say username, hash password, encrypted. Data. This is where some sort of helper like fake method, would be very helpful, which we can add that. Encrypted data key. How do I create one of those? New encrypted data key dot key used and encrypted key. I tell you what, I've only been working on this app for like about a month or so, and there's parts of the code that I don't even remember writing. It's so weird. It's weird how that works. Okay. So now we have now that we have all our fake data, we can go ahead and add that into the database. So we have our institution, we have our user, we have our account, and then let's go ahead and at each of these steps we need to say app db context dot add async. And then we'll do same thing here. Wait. And then we'll need a transaction. So let's generate a fake transaction. Let's see, what does a fake transaction look like? We have user ID, account ID. So we need the user ID, user.id. You need the account ID, account.id. Some bogus name. Transaction metadata. Okay. And then we'll do name, merchant name, description. What was the other thing? Amount. Let's do 100. We'll do date, time, offset, dot now, and then we'll do what do we do here? UTC now, and then the last thing is the metadata. Okay. And then how do we add the transaction? Do we add the transaction to the user? Or do we add the transaction to the account? The account. So we say add transaction. Okay. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll say await app db context dot save changes async. So this is basically, I know this is kind of a long setup, but we can abstract all this stuff away, right, for future test cases. The whole point though here is to set up the database so there are actual transactions in the database before we try to delete them. Because this is an integration test, so we are actually querying an actual SQLite database. So then what we can do is we can basically say, okay, great. So the var transactions to remove equals, let's see, new going.plaid.entity.transaction. And we will set this guy to transaction ID is going to equal whatever that transaction metadata dot plaid ID is up top. So let's actually make this, we'll just make this a well, I think actually I can do this, can't I? Transaction to remove, yeah. I think, right? And we need to await this. And then we need to pass in the test context.current.cancellation token. Now what are you complaining about? So you cannot implicitly, oh, so that's my fault. And then we'll do result.should.be 1. Okay, now let's try to run this test. We'll see if this blows up. It may blow up. Okay, so .NET test. We do filter method. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. Let's see if this works. Hey, good morning, Justin. Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Caleb. Good to see you guys. Hey, bro, what's up? Which IDE are we using? I'm using NeoVim, which isn't really an IDE per se. It's more like a text editor, but... Oh, whoops. I gotta turn off the running Spire. It's more like, I would put NeoVim more similar to VS Code than similar to something like Visual Studio. But I'm using NeoVim. Noob Master, hi. Is learning system programming, network programming, and character device driver development a good idea? So I don't know what character device driver development is. I don't know what that is. But systems programming and network programming seem like worthwhile things to learn. Good morning. Good morning, Inspire. Good to see you. Good morning, Bob. Thanks for being a member, Bob. Appreciate you. Inspire, you too. Thanks for being a member. Good to see you guys. Let's see. Once you put milk and sugar, it all becomes the same. I just challenge that, D. I think if you've ever had an Ethiopian cup of coffee, it just completely, it has such like a floral flavor to it. It's wild. It'll blow your mind. Bob, no, that doesn't count. Morning. Hope you don't need glasses to see sharp. I like that. That's a good dad joke. It's a very good dad joke, but most kids wouldn't understand it. But it's on point. Paxi, you are a monster of code. Holy, I don't know how you can develop with this. Well, it's just like with anything. You get used to working in it, you know. Working on some internal AI stuff for work right now. Nice. So you're doing work. So does that mean you're gonna take off a little early today? If you're doing work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully you're not just putting in extra hours. Let's see. SQLite error, no such table. Oh, yep, that makes sense. So we actually need to run the migrations before the tests. So we need to go to our integration test. And we need to implement We actually need to implement. Let's actually change this from iDisposable to iAsync lifetime. This is a XUnit thing. Go ahead and implement that. And we will move all this logic into here. And then, let's see. You can do await, dispose async, and then this guy can do well, actually, hold on. Back up. We can keep the protected method, that's fine. We'll just move this inside here. Whoops. Delete that. It's more like learning for me, but I get to show it off, then show other people how it all works and use either the tools I use to build the app or the app itself. But yeah, I do get to control my hours. That's nice. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. Well, that sounds like fun stuff to be working on. Ryan, if you think Ethiopian coffee is good, have you had Kona coffee yet? Yes, I have had Kona coffee. And I'm not actually, I wouldn't say that I think Ethiopian coffee is necessarily good. I'm not actually a huge fan of a floral tasting cup of coffee, which to me is how I usually describe Ethiopian coffee. It's very floral, it's very citrusy. But I always give it as an example of coffee that's different because it really does taste significantly different. Kona coffee, I don't think, for me personally, has the biggest difference compared to other coffee that I've tried, but that's why I always give that example to folks who don't think coffee tastes different. Paxi, thanks for answering me. Of course, dude. Yeah, I'm always happy to answer you guys. I try not to ignore chat. Sometimes I don't, though. I try not to ignore chat, but sometimes I do. Byte cubes, Java? No, this is C#, but they look alike from what people tell me. I've never written any Java myself, so take that for what it's worth. Let's see. Dispose that. And then we'll make this. Okay, and then remove this guy. And then we'll say, and when we initialize the class, we want to run the migration. So we'll say await app db context dot, what is it? Database dot migrate async. Okay, this comes up so much. We're gonna have to learn Java at some point. Yes, we're gonna have to learn Java. So that's I think we should tentatively put on the roadmap for this year is F# and Java. And then I think for Advent of Code we pick between one of those two, depending on which one we enjoy more. But I think Java comes up so much on stream, and it must really be true that C# looks a lot like Java to a lot of people. I don't know why that was showing an error. Okay, let's try to rerun the test now that we're running the migrations properly. Try again. Okay. Let's see. SQLite error, foreign key constraint. So that typically means we're doing something wrong in the order of events up here. Okay, so we added the user. We added the institution to the user. We added the account to the user. I wonder. This is where I wish that error was more descript, but I think what we need to do is we need to let's make sure we're setting all these IDs properly. That's account ID, user ID, institution ID. Yeah. Institution from name. Yep, that's right. Okay, let's add an at bb context dot save changes. Slap one of them on there. Basically, something is trying to get saved before the thing it's attached to has its ID generated. Okay, that's not it. Okay, so we're gonna start commenting out some codes. Let's comment out this real quick. Let's just make this up. Plaid ID. How do you get so proficient at using no mouse? I'm generally trying to become better at navigating without mine. I think you just get better at it the more you do it. I know that sounds like really shitty advice, but that's the truth, is like you just get better at it. And I still probably use a mouse way more than like somebody who's a true keyboard workflow person would. When I'm in my editor, I tend to try to stay keyboard centric, but when doing other things, I typically will flip over to a mouse. Like right now, I'm using my mouse. But I know some people who are like, disconnect your mouse, never touch it again. And I'm not one of those folks. Nor do I think you need to necessarily be one of those folks, you know? Let's do that. Okay, so that works. So it's that piece of code right here, the account. So why does adding the account cause an issue? Oh, you know what it is? I guarantee it's because of the user ID. I guarantee that's why. I thought though, let's go to the add accounts endpoint. Add. How do I do this in here? So I guess maybe because that's interesting. I just thought so I have to actually explicitly populate it. I mean, I guess that's okay, but then why would I need to worry about adding it to the user? But I guarantee if I do this, it's gonna work. Squid.user ID. User ID equals user ID. And then we'll do user.id. But it seems silly. So that's this right here. This line right here seems silly now and unnecessary. Let's do integration tests. So this would be user.id. Let's go ahead and run that. Okay, I have a bunch of tests I need to go fix because I changed that constructor method or that static method. Add tests. Run it again. All right, coming back to chat. Back now. I missed the coffee reply. No worries. We're glad to have you back. There's some good YouTube videos you can check out online about the origins of C# and the reason for the similarities. Yeah, I've got chat's done a pretty good job of giving me like a history of C# 101. So it totally having that background, it totally makes sense. Let's see, Cape. How do you navigate coworkers who want to abstract everything when it is unnecessary during code reviews? For me personally, I never have had to deal with that at work myself. But I think if we're in the context of work, I wouldn't fight too terribly much. I would just do whatever the organization or the company or the team's like style is, right? Like, I think a lot of times in life it's about kind of picking your battles. And so if somebody cares about that more than me, I'm happy to go and make the changes, even if maybe I don't agree with it. It's just, you're at work to get a paycheck. So I just wouldn't allow that to like take too much of my emotional energy or mental energy, You can always say like, what is it Jeff Bezos says, like, disagree and commit, You can always say like, okay, well, I don't think it needs to be abstracted, but that's really whatever the consensus is, Now, granted, if you really, really care a lot and that's the hill you want to die on, then obviously you're gonna have to fight the battle. But if it was me, I probably would be like, fine, I'll make it abstract if you want. That's fine. Read more Martin Fowler articles than them and link them in your code review responses. Good morning, Misharil. I think that's how you say your name. Thank you for stopping by the stream. Appreciate you. All right, we're back to foreign key constraint issues. So that did not fix it. Okay. So what am I doing wrong here? Let's see. Comment that out. Run this again. You fight your coworkers in the arena and let nature sort out who is right. I mean, I would love to go one-on-one jiu-jitsu with coworkers over disagreements. Or the other thought I've had is, I don't know how many people here played American football, but there's a drill in American football called Oklahoma drill, which is basically like 2 guys, or sometimes it's 4 guys, depends on what you're doing. But you know, it's like 2v2 or 1v1, and like the defender stands on the goal line, running back is like 5 or 10 yards back, and it's just mano a mano. Like either the ball carrier gets in, or or you squash the ball carrier. Yeah, I've always wanted to be like, okay, we have a disagreement, Oklahoma drill. Let's figure this out. Yeah. I mean, that it might solve some work problems. I mean, okay, that's still an issue. This is still an issue. Yeah, I love that. Okay, drill for PR. Yeah, exactly. Disagreement on PR reviews. Okay, Oklahoma drill. Okay, so what constraint is not being met? I don't know. It's something with the account. Something about the account is not. It's not working. So we have the institution ID. We should have the user ID now. I'm not sure. I've done something wrong and I don't know what it is. So this works. If I uncomment this, everyone's happy. Okay, so that tells me something's up with this, right? So if I leave this and I do await, what happens if I do this? Okay, yeah. So that's the issue. So that's interesting. I wonder if I do institution.add account. I wonder what happens here. Institution add account. So let's go back to institution. Let's go public void add account. Account. We will do argument null throw if null. Otherwise, just add it to that backing field. This. Okay, and let's go back to the test, and instead of doing this, we'll do institution add account. rerun this. I think this might work. Yeah, that works. Okay, interesting. Okay, that's good to know. So, which means technically, I think what that means, technically, we could actually get away with that, with not setting these through this from method, I think. But before I make that change, we definitely don't need to make that change to the user ID. So let's set this back. Let's go to this definition. Remove this. Remove this. Also, we need to make the constructor private here. I don't know how I did miss that. And then we need to go back and address the issues we created by making that change. So now we don't need to do this. You know, I wonder if almost could the user delegate that? Probably not. It probably doesn't make sense to do a lookup inside here. Yeah, because we just have a list. Okay, so then let's go back to the add test integration test. Where is that? It's down here somewhere. We don't need this guy anymore. Okay, now let's run again. Did not mean to put that trailing slash on there. Is this project going to be hosted just locally? It'll be on a VPS, so it'll be exposed to the internet. It will be exposed to the internet, but it will only have accounts for me and my wife. But it'll be hosted on a VPS. Is what it'll be hosted on. But if you want to experiment with it yourself, it will definitely be in a format where the front end will be published as a Docker container and the back end will be published as a Docker container. And then if you wanted to run it, you would just have to set your environment variables, you know, just do all the configuration. What VPS? So I have a couple here in my house, and then I have one that's out in Oracle's cloud, and those are the ones I use to host things right now. Code review trial by combat. Okay, expected result to be 1, but found 0. That's expected. So let's go back here, and let's do here. So let's do this, and then set of transaction ID. We will do transaction metadata. Let's run again. Excuse me. Why Oracle? They have a pretty generous free tier. That's the only reason. All right, we have another key constraint. So the reason why there's a key constraint is because the transaction is also tied to the user, if I remember right. So we go to the definition, we have account, but we also have a user, which means we need to go to the user, and we need to add one of these. I don't know if I don't know if it's either do this or I have to explicitly set the ID on the object. I'm not sure which one I like better. And oh shoot, do I not have that? I don't have that exposed yet. Okay, I'm gonna have to. That's okay. I'm gonna have to at some point, I guess, do this anyway. So let's just do here, here. This will be transactions. Transactions. Would help if I could spell. Is the Oracle VPS really free, or is there a hidden fee or pay as you go? So it is really free. Now, obviously, with anything like that, if you do something super egregious, I'm sure there is a place at which you move beyond their free limits, but it's not pay as you go. It's not pay as you go. But I more have picked it just because the machine that they give you is pretty generous. It was kind of a pain in the ass to get it set up. If I'll be completely honest, like I had to email their support team like 3 or 4 times, and I had to wait a long time to get the instance provisioned. And it was kind of a pain to set up. It was a pain to get provisioned and set up. But once I got it, it's been hassle-free to use it. I haven't had any issues. How's the energy consumption? I mean, for the home one? Fine. I haven't noticed it. I mean, most of these things I'm running are not like I have one VPS or one server here in my house is an old MacBook Air, and one server is like a Dell Optiplex. So they're not like high-powered kick-ass machines, right? They're just small little servers that I can run containers on and do stuff with. Kurt, sussy. It was kind of sussy to get it set up, but once I got it set up, it's been fine. I mean, the thing is nothing I'm building or deploying is meant to serve like even 100 users, right? So I don't really think about the scale thing too much. Let's see. Did I do that? Yeah, I did that right.
Did we just become best friends?
Elijah, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate that. Super kind of you. I need to go to account. Okay, back to the test now. Let's see, we're here. So account add transaction. This would also be user add transaction. And I think with that, now my test should hopefully not throw the foreign key constraint error. Good morning, Ulas. Kurtz, yes, but do you wonder why it's free? Not really, if I'm honest. Oh, I also have to add a migration. Not really. Let's see, add institutions, navigation property, to not institutions. Add transactions, navigation, property. Steals data probably. Oh shit! No. I am here, so no need to code. How are your blockchain workshops going? Have you ran any of them yet? I think last time we talked, you just gotten that new job. Oh, you're still preparing it? Nice. Man, I've been trying to get this test to work for like an hour. Foreign key constraint still, huh? I wish it would really tell you where the foreign key constraint was happening. An error, so it's changing the entity. Okay, so we added the transaction to the user. We added the transaction to the account. What else would it not be set? We added the account to the institution. We added the user. Because this runs just fine if I remove this. I run this again. I got more job after, so worker of 2 companies now. Oh, nice. That's all. It's always good to kind of be diversified in your income. Sometimes it's kind of it creates a little anxiety to think that all your pay is dependent on one employer, you know. Let's see, yeah. So this it ran, but it just failed. So the question is then, why does this not work? I'll bet, let's see, if I do this, I might have to ask Gemini because I don't know why. I don't have enough experience with the entity framework to understand. Yeah, see that one passed. So now it passed. So saving the account and the user and the institution before attempting to add the transaction bypasses that issue. But I'm not 100% certain why. I am curious if I remove setting these. Let's just do this. If I introduce a new method, it does the same thing, but it doesn't populate those. And then I take those away. And I remove that. What happens now? I definitely need to abstract this. Okay, and that still failed. Why did it fail? Because of foreign key constraint. Oh my goodness. Well, that's very interesting. Let's do some reading, because I don't really understand. Or let's do some interrogating of Gemini and maybe some entity framework documentation. Entity framework. Adding entities. Yeah, add related entities. There we go. Saving related data. Okay, adding a graph of new entities. So if you create several new related entities, adding one of them to the context will cause the others to be added. In the following example, the blog and 3 related posts are all inserted into the database. The posts are found and added because they are reachable via the blog.post navigation property. Okay. Adding a related entity. If you reference a new entity from the navigation property of an entity that is already tracked by the context, the entity will be discovered and inserted into the database. In the following example, the post entity is inserted before it is added to the post property of the blog entity, which was fetched from the database. Okay. If you change the navigation property of an entity, the corresponding changes will be made to the foreign key column in the database. Alright, that makes sense. Okay, that all makes sense, but it doesn't really understand. Integration. Okay, let me ask Gemini something. Okay, let's say I'm working in entity framework. I have a user model, I have a user entity, an account entity, and a transaction entity. A user entity has many accounts and has many transactions. An account entity has a single user and many transactions. A transaction has a single account and a single user. Let's say I want to add a user, an account, and a transaction, all in a single go. What does that look like done properly in Entity Framework? Because I don't really understand how you handle cases where you sort of have it's like a parent child grandchild, but the grandchild can also be directly related to the grandchild can also be a child of the. It's kind of a weird thing. Yeah, working with multiple related entities at once can seem tricky at first. Object graph, instead of adding each entity separately and manually tracking the inserted IDs, you link the objects together in memory using their navigation properties. Yeah, okay. So we do user.account add. User. Okay, so what? Let's see. Does this order of operations matter? Let's see. In step 4, does the order of operations matter? I mean, it could be Gemini could be lying to me, but good morning, Artwork Studios. Good to see you. Top of the morning to you. Yeah, top of the morning to you too. Get it fast too. Good morning, bro. Glad you're here every day. I am here every day, and thank you for stopping by and leaving such a nice comment. Okay, so let's give this a try. Let's see if we can actually let's test what Gemini is asserting. So if we add the transaction, add the account, we add the account to the institution and to the user, we add the institution to the user. So theoretically, I should be able to come down here. Oops, I should be able to do this. Right? So let's just track the relationships here. We create the user, we create an institution, we tie the institution to the user. We then create an account. We tie the account to the user. We tie the account to the institution. Then we create the transaction, and we tie the transaction to the user and to its account. All right. Gemini is a beast. Gemini is a beast. It can generate music now, too. It's pretty crazy. Gemini 3 Flash is the coder. Gemini isn't great at coding. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't go in for the whole, like, this model's better at coding, and this model's better at this, and this model's better. To me, that's all very vibey. I mean, I know they have, like, these benchmarks that they run the models against, but to me, it's all very vibey. To me, it's like, in my experience, like, the way I use the models, they're all pretty much interchangeable. It's very AI shamanism. Like, this plant over here will heal your ailments, and this plant over here will salve your guilt, and this plant over here will. James, you need to learn about fine tuning before you state things like that. Okay, James. Sounds good, James. I'll go and learn about some fine tuning. I have no idea what fine tuning is. I'm so inept and uneducated. How could I ever hope to understand such things? Hello, Shituki. I don't know how to say. I want to say shit took is what I want. Let's see. How does SpeakerBot say these things? Where did SpeakerBot go? Settings, voice aliases.
Shituki Mastia.
Shituki Mastia. I might just call you Shy, because I can't totally say that without sounding like a complete dumbass. But good to see you. Glad you're here. Let's see, James. It's how they cheat on the benchmarks, but it helps the models forget general purpose things. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I'm being sarcastic, James. I know what fine tuning is. From my own anecdotal experience, I just don't feel like the models have significant difference. I know people like to run around and talk about model differences, and this model's better at writing, and this model's better at math, and this model's better at this, and this model's better. I'm like, Yeah, they all just predict tokens in my world, man. Call me T2? Okay, I'll call you T2. Let's see. Boards show 3.1 Pro is the best coder, but it's been so unreliable since it launched. Interesting. Tookie Tookie, hello? Hello, Tookie Tookie. Man, won't doing coding as a hobby and at work kind of cause burnouts? I guess it could if you don't enjoy them. I mean, I personally enjoy them, but yeah, I don't really have too much of a concern about that myself. It's like fun time of my son, and I am from India. Nice, very cool. Well, I hope India's treating you well. Hope you're doing well. You know what model is the best for coding? A human, such as yourself. Oh no, bro. Gemini 3 Pro is so good, but man, Claude Code Opus, oh man, it's just, it's unbelievable. I love how Steven reads names. Oh, well, I don't. I'm English, or I'm an American who speaks English, and that means I kind of suck at languages. So I do apologize if I mispronounce things. So there's something I don't. Gosh dang it! I got stickiness on my table, like orange juice. For me, I have an American accent when speaking Chinese and an American accent when speaking Malay, but Chinese accent on English. Interesting. That's so cool that so many of you speak multiple languages. Growing up in the United States, we're so spoiled from that perspective. It's actually kind of ridiculous. To me, it makes a difference, but I don't know what they have in the system prompt for anti-gravity. Yeah, again, like I said, man, I just don't go in for all the AI model hype myself. I think by the time I get it, it's like, I don't know, use Claude, use Gemini, use whichever one suits you. I'm not gonna spend too much time thinking about it. Okay, that worked. So I don't understand this foreign key constraint problem at all. So somebody is not tied to somebody, I'm guessing. So let's go look at the account definition. But it must be something related to the transaction, right? I mean, that's got to be... It's got to be something related to this. Account ID, user ID. We have merchant ID, that's fine. We have transaction metadata, that's fine. Alright, we're gonna have to do a little bit of Googling. I was making such good progress this morning, then I ran into this thing. User add transaction, account add transaction. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that looks right. User ID, institution ID, account metadata. Oh, I wonder if it's because I didn't update. Let's see, where is it? So we have account, where is it? A balance, transaction. So transaction has many users. Transaction has many. So where's the account definition? User. Yeah, I think let's see, let's do count a dot transactions, and then static u dot transactions. So do I need to add a new database for this? Let's see. Glad I remember that. I wish it would throw an error or something that was more specific that we forgot to do that mapping. Yeah, we have to add a migration. .NET EF migration add. Update app DB context to include transaction navigation properties. James, I do it for fun a lot of the time. I work in retail, so I don't know much about programming. Well, the fact that you're coming in here and trying to tell me I need to go get educated on fine-tuning is makes that kind of humorous to me, but again, it's like I'm very pessimistic and skeptical about all the AI shamanism that exists in the world right now. And if I come off as kind of douchebaggy towards you about it, it's not. It really doesn't have very much to do with you. It has much more to do with just my general disposition towards people who want to just constantly be like, oh, well, if you would just use this model, and if you would just learn how to prompt it like this, and if you would just do what I do, then you would understand why AI and agents and LLMs are so good. Let me sell you my 50-step course to becoming an agentic AI developer. How about you sit on it and spin, bro? How about that? So yeah, so my angst doesn't have anything to do with you. My angst just has to do with the general state of the world. Okay, now it's all working the way it should work. Okay. Now it's working. So we add the user, we add the institution, we add the transaction to both of these entities, and we're off to the races. Then we try to remove it, and we do. God, man, that took way too long. So what we need to do is we need to find a way to abstract this, because I'm gonna write a few more tests that are going to require this type of setup. So I think what we should do is we should have some sort of method on the integration test that allows us to basically create a transaction, or kind of like what we did over here, actually. Where is it? I think it's in the API tests. Where is it? API tests. Yeah, we almost need this same. We might, maybe we, no, we can't abstract it, but we need something like this where we have these execute or composable logic that we can say, okay, create me these objects and then hand them back to me, essentially. I'm not sure the best way of going about doing that. So if we look at the remove plaid handler, I guess we should probably test what happens when we throw here. And then probably that might be it, honestly. That's the only real logic that's in here. I'm not sure how I would I'm not sure how I would get it to throw. Might have to do a little bit of research how to do that. Oh wow, is it really 710? God damn it, man. I spent way too much time on that stupid integration test, all because I didn't wire my DB context up correctly. That's so frustrating. Bob, how do you feel that I'm trying to do some consulting for agentic development? I don't think there's anything wrong with it, Bob. I would never throw shade at anybody who's out there hustling. You know? Get it. Are you using open banking for your app? No, I use Plaid. Plaid.com is the service I'm using. Has anyone noticed that today is 3 for 3 and also, or 3-3 and also the third day of the week? Oh, that's cool. You know, I did notice that. Nice call out. Bob Knoll. Wee! David Bailey, we like Iran. I mean, I think we like Iranian folk. I mean, why wouldn't we like people from Iran? I mean, I'm sure there's some bad apples, just like there are bad apples here in the United States, you know? But yeah, I don't know why we are you, or you just mean like the Iranian government? I mean, I don't necessarily have a very strong opinion one way or the other. But the Iranian people seem to be totally chill. I'm sure they're just as chill as any people any other place in the world. How is the US regulatory landscape for using their APIs? For using Plaid's APIs? Is that what you're asking? I mean, they take all the regulatory concern. They handle all those details. David Bailey, doomed. Who is doomed? I don't know who's doomed. International chat, has any of your currencies appreciated or depreciated against the U.S. amidst their war and oil prices going up 14%? That's not directed at me. Bob, I like lands and people, not governments. That's a really nice way to express that. I like that, Bob. Artwork shoes. Feeling bad for Arvin though? Yeah, I hope he's doing okay. I mean, I just can't imagine what it must be like, you know, if I was trying to raise my family and live my life and have a career right now over there in the middle of all this that they're going through. I just can't imagine what that would be like. So thinking of Arvin. Hopefully we'll hear from him and maybe get an update from him whenever things cool down. Tookie, yes, cool. I might look up into, since PSD2 is a pain in the ass. Yeah, so Plaid takes care of all the nitty gritties of dealing with communicating with the banks. And so I just work through Plaid to get the data, but I don't really want to deal with anybody else's data. That's why I say this application is just for me and my wife, or just for our family. Like, I'm not planning on hosting it and providing it as a service to other people. I don't want to be responsible for anyone else's financial data. That sounds like not fun. My friend is from Iran. Showed me some videos. Capital is smoking. That's crazy, man. I just can't even imagine. Can't even imagine what it's like. I hope I never have to experience it. All right, fellas and ladies and whatever genders are here. I'm gonna head out. That's gonna do it for me. I gotta go upstairs and get ready for work and whatnot. So appreciate y'all keeping me company. All that because one orange man did so bad things on some island. Yeah. Yeah. War's hell. It's difficult. I said this yesterday when someone brought up the conflict. It's difficult for me to support any war or be positive about any war when I myself wouldn't want to go and fight in that war or offer my sons up to go and fight in that war. So it's difficult for me to be supportive of it. I'm supportive of the U.S. military and the U.S. soldiers, but I of the overall conflict or war in general, it's difficult for me to be positive about it. For those of us who lived through 9/11, I can't imagine. Well, I guess that's true. I guess I wasn't as directly impacted by 9/11 probably as some other folks were. But yeah, that's fair. That's a fair statement, Bob. Thing is, some people will grow up to hate the U.S. when the people are really lovely. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I can understand the hate, right? I can understand how people come to dislike another group of people. I hope Congress will stop this. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what is going to happen. Yeah. Well, not to end on a sad note. Unfortunately, the world is a little crazy right now, but hopefully you guys can come here in the mornings and escape it for a little bit and hang out and write some code. Bob Knoll, anyway. Yeah, I don't want to end on a negative note, but I do understand that there are bigger, more important things happening in the world than me trying to figure out how to properly model my data in my app DB context. So I do understand that, but hopefully for a time we can focus on that instead of all the negativity. All right, I'm out of here. I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday, and if it's already the end of your Tuesday, I hope it was great, and hopefully I'll see y'all tomorrow morning if all goes well. And yeah, thank you for hanging out. See you, James. See you, Tookie. Bye, Artwork Studios. Bye, Bob. Bye, Kurtz. Bye, D. See you, Duck Boy. Bye, guys. Hope you have a great day. Bye. See you guys.